Hey everyone, welcome to another Anime Kingdom review. See my title below? Yes, this is on episode 22 of Recreators, which means yes, this is of course the final and last episode of this series. And honestly, what else could I say besides it's been an amazing ride. I love this anime from the beginning all the way to this final episode. And honestly, I think they did an amazing job with this last episode. I know a lot of people were kind of, I guess, probably disappointed in ways that, they felt that the last episode was more of a finale. And I do agree with that aspect. Like I said before, this episode was going to be an epilogue episode. And I really like that aspect because honestly, I can't remember the last time I've watched an anime where there was an epilogue episode. Like I literally cannot think right now of a single one. If you can, hey, feel free to comment below and be like, hey, I remember that one. You're right. But as of this moment, it just proves that there's not a lot of anime that are willing to go ahead and do this for an, put this in as an episode. Most animes would probably end this, Recreators in, having last week's episode maybe take off several minutes of the episode just so they can at the very end show the whole thing with Meteor and everyone going through the gate, and that would have been the end of the episode. That would be how most animes probably would have ended this series, which is why I'm actually really happy that they ended it like this. And there was of course some people I saw that were expecting some crazy twist to be thrown in this episode, or maybe like a announcement, like some way to go into a second season. But honestly, I can't see why you would want a second season. I honestly feel that this series overall, it ended really well. I wouldn't want it to be dragged on and ruined, honestly, by another season. I felt and feel that this series ended really well. And I know that there are, of course, probably some people, I did see that there were that they didn't really care for the whole way that they ended this. They felt that it was kind of a cop out with having Altair and being defeated by them bringing Setsuna in and everything, and that was how it ended. But I really feel like there's no other way that they could have ended this series. I think that was the perfect way. Altair was pretty much made to be just like overpowered. She had infinite abilities. She could not be defeated in any other way. And it ended up with Setsuna coming in and having a really heartfelt episode, a battle of words and feelings. And I really enjoyed the way that we even got closure with them and everything. It's not that, Altair was your normal villain that wanted to destroy the world just to destroy the world. She had reasonings, which was, of course, Setsuna. And it made sense. You can kind of feel like sorry and everything, because yes, those people that were jealous, it's human nature obviously, but still what they did push Setsuna to pretty much killing herself. And because of that, all her wishes and her evil, not evil thoughts, but all her hate towards humanity and everything of the world was transferred, of course, to Altair. And that's where I'm still kind of, they don't really show, like even Meteor was like, she was like, oh, how did she get into this world? And it's still kind of a mystery in a way, and I like that. I like that they didn't like try and give us away like, oh, this is actually how she came to the world. It's still a mystery, and it really gets you thinking like, sure, maybe some people were like, oh, maybe they'll show that in the second season, but I just like the aspect of it, like, man, how is that even possible that in the first place she was able to come into this world and do all this kind of stuff? It really is something that I'll be like, whenever I think of Recreators, I'll probably think like, man, what crazy way could have happened that it was able to bring her into the world and everything, but overall, I just felt that the last week's episode was a great ending, and this episode was a great episode, literally doing what it's supposed to do, and it was, to give us closure between not just the creations but the creators alike. And honestly, they did such a good job, everyone saying their goodbyes. It was really heartfelt and everything, seeing all the writers being able to move on and continue their stories. You have people like if I had to say one thing that I kind of wanted to add into this episode, honestly, it would probably be Celestia and Alistaria and Mamika coming back to life and actually having a proper goodbye. But it's understandable, and I really like the way they kind of made it out to be like they're not dead completely. Like maybe those versions are dead, but the writers can continue their story. They can still implement all those kind of things and give them good endings. They all made promises to their creations and everything. So it honestly overall was nice to see that. And like not only them, but you also saw Sota. It was nice to see that after seeing how he was at the very beginning, he's finally moving on. He's finally continuing to draw and everything. I really like that. And like he said, even if there's not a lot of people that accepts his art or like likes it or anything, he's still going to continue to do what he loves. And honestly, it was really just an awesome closing episode to end everything off, giving us closure for everyone. And like I said, there was, I did expect most of this stuff to happen. The one thing that did surprise me was Meteor. I kind of expected her to go along with them as well, but it makes sense. She was probably the one person that can see living in the normal world, in their world. And it's cool that, in the end, she ends up becoming a writer herself. And don't even get me started at the very end when she started trying to think of a name to make for her story. I was like, no, they're not gonna do it. And like I don't know why, but whenever I see like any type of media, anime, video game, show, book, whenever they say the title of that media, of that story or anything, I always just like, oh my gosh, yes, thank you very much for that. Like I was like, oh, please type in Recreators, please do it. And yes, of course, that is what Meteor ends up writing as the title for her story. And then of course there was a nice, little picture showing all of them at the very end, including Magane, which is kind of, not surprising because she did end up helping him at the very end. And that's another thing I probably would have wanted as well. I still think it's okay to do it. Kind of leaves us with a, mystery of what happened to Magane. Is she still living in the normal world? Did she somehow go through the gate as well, but they didn't show her? I'm not really too sure because they do talk about how Meteor was testing things out. So maybe, I don't know, who the hell knows, Magane goes and tests it out first and goes through it. You never know, really, honestly. But I like the aspect of thinking that she's still out there somewhere, doing her own thing. I'm not too sure what it is. Some people may think like she was causing trouble and stuff, maybe, but I like to think that that's not what's going to happen because Meteor lost her powers, so it would make sense that Magane probably lost her powers as well. But yeah, honestly, I love this series. So let's get on to talk about how I felt about the entire season. I give my season review overall because honestly, there's not much else to say about this episode. Like I said, it was a really good, heartfelt closure episode, and they did a really good job at giving us this epilogue. But yeah, overall for the season, I would have to say, if I were to give it a rating, like I cannot give it lower than 8.5. It's an 8.5 to a 9. That's how good I thought this anime was. Like I would honestly say, I'm gonna say it right now. This is probably one of my top favorite animes of all time. I'm gonna say it now. Some of you may disagree, but I really did love this anime from just everything about it, from the art and animation being on point throughout the whole series. I love the character designs. I love the just overall story, the writing, the way it ended. Like a lot of things when people review an anime and kind of see what makes a great anime to them, at least what made that anime really stick out, it's the ending. It's the ending and the characters, I would say. And the ending for this was amazing. The characters were amazing. And one of my favorite parts that I always love to talk about this anime is the music. Oh my gosh. Like this is probably one of my favorite like soundtracks of all time. Like the OST in this, and of course the opening and endings as well, just been spot on, making scenes that much better than they already were. Honestly, I have to say that. But yeah, I definitely give this like an 8.5 to a 9. Like it's kind of in the middle for me at that point, but this series has just been an amazing ride from the beginning to the end, and I'm happy and sad that it is now, of course, finally has ended. Happy because obviously, it ended really well. I really did enjoy the ending, and that's always how like you kind of remember an anime, because of the ending, So that, of course, and like I said, it's sad because while I do wish there was more, I don't want more, honestly. I gotta say, that's why it's always sad to say goodbye. And all we gotta do is say goodbye to Recreators for now and hope that another anime can, become as good as this. But it's gonna be hard, that's for sure. But yeah, that's all I gotta say, guys. Hope you enjoyed this Anime Kingdom review. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. If there's anything I missed and you want to talk about, comment below as well. And if you did enjoy, just for the like. If you haven't already, feel free to subscribe for more content. As always, guys, I want to hear your guys' thoughts. How did you feel about this episode? How did you feel about the season overall? Feel free to comment below however you guys felt. And yeah, that's all I gotta say. So till next time, guys. See ya.